So hello guys. Hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Neze Peperempe. Neze Peperempe. Who is feeling the pepper? Who is feeling the pepperish substance all over them? Drop in the comment section if you can feel the pepper. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today's video is going to be fun. Today's video is going to be so detailed, so all-encompassing. It's going to be packed with so much information. Now, ever since I announced my relocation, the primary question that I've gotten from so many people is, how did you relocate? How did you do it? You traveled with your husband and your 4 children. What path did you take? Did you get a job offer? Was it express entry? Did you go schooling? What is the cocoa? Neze, do not keep us in suspense. Tell us, we want to know. So in today's video, I'm going to be narrating all the process to you from the beginning, the scratch till the end, on how my husband and our 4 children, a big family of 6, relocated to Canada. Listen, you do not want to miss any part of this gist. If you are driving, just be playing the video and be driving. Whatever you are doing, keep this video beside you and be listening, okay? Watch till the end because there's so much you're gonna get from whether you have relocated or you are even yet to relocate. Whatever category you find yourself, there is something in this video for you. So without further ado, let us proceed. So my husband and I made the big decision to begin the process to relocation in 2020. That is like 3 years ago. Prior to that decision, if you know me, you would know that I had never wanted to relocate. There has been so many opportunities for me to relocate, but I've always been that girl that would rather go out and come back. I didn't want to live abroad. Yes, I'm the first and only daughter. My husband is the first and only son. We had so many reasons. We both had good jobs. I was growing in my own career. Aside from making money on YouTube and doing all of that, I also had my 9 to 5. I was occupying a managerial position. I was fine. My husband, on the other hand, had a very good job. He was in oil and gas, one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world, yeah? So he was traveling outside Nigeria for jobs and all of that. We were fine. We didn't want to relocate. So what exactly made us change our mind? I think I should start with that. Why did you relocate? We didn't leave because we were looking for greener pastures. We didn't leave because we wanted to come and make money in abroad. We know that it might even be easier to blow in Nigeria than here. So why did you leave everything and come? The first time it hit me that I told myself, Neze, do you really want to remain here? Was the End SARS protest in 2020. If you're not conversant with that incident, a bunch of youths, Nigerian youths, gathered at the Lekki toll gates in Lagos to protest police brutality, corruption, bad governance, hardship, and all of that. And in the course of the protests, sometime during the protests, the Nigerian military opened fire on peaceful protesters, killing many of them. See, Nigeria's issue hurts me so much. It disturbs me so much. But I don't think I have ever cried the way I cried that day. I don't think I have ever self-reflected and thought deeply about my future and the future of my children in my country as much as I did that day. Like, if the government of a country, a government I pay tax to, I was very heavily taxed in Nigeria. My husband was very heavily taxed. If I tell you the amount of money that leaves our salary for tax, if I can be paying tax to a government that can turn their weapons and kill my brothers unarmed, I thought, okay, what job am I trying to keep in Nigeria? My children, okay, I'm fine. I have a job. I can afford some things. What happens to my children in the next 30 years when maybe I'm not there anymore? can I guarantee them that kind of life in Nigeria? So that incident changed my mindset. That incident spurred me, and I now began to see other things. I remember this, my cousin that was always telling me about relocating to Canada. I kept on telling him, I know they go. I don't want to go to Canada. It got so bad that he wanted to do the agent work for me for free, like help me to do the submission, create express entry profile. All he wanted was my consent and my documents. I refused to give him. He was so pissed with me that he deleted me. Like, he blocked me on all social media platforms. He was so hot that, how can I be telling you something that will benefit you and your children, and you are adamant that you want to remain in Nigeria? It was that bad. But let us not dwell so much on that. Let us get into the story itself. So that was how I changed my mind, and I told my husband, okay, fine. Because my husband had told me earlier about relocation. I just blocked him. I said, baby, please, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm okay. So in the coming weeks and days after that incident, I then told my husband that I'm ready. I think we can go. It wasn't only the answer, so that's with so many other reasons that I now started seeing, which maybe I'll talk about in another video. All right. If you have questions as I am narrating this whole journey, if you have questions for me, please drop in the comment section. I will do a Q&A and I will address many of them. So there are different pathways to immigrating to Canada or any other country from Nigeria. But the two major ways used by Nigerians are schooling or express entry, PR. The advantage of the schooling is that it is a lot more straightforward and faster. So you can begin the schooling process this year and have it concluded that same year and travel that year. So it's a lot faster for those that are in a hurry to leave, okay? But the advantage of the express entry, which is the federal skilled workers pathway, is that you're coming in as a permanent resident with all the benefits that accrue to a permanent residence. Like, it's almost like you're a citizen, save for, okay, you cannot vie for public offices and all of that. You have so many benefits, and you're not coming to start looking for papers. You're coming settled. Like, permanent residence is the closest thing to a citizen. So it's not like the disadvantage of the schooling is that when you come after schooling, you are expected to go back to your country. That is the expectation, okay? You have to start looking for pathways to now, brew yourself in that country. But the disadvantage of going through the express entry route is that it is quite slow. Some people spend 2 years, 3 years on that journey, okay? So it is slower than the schooling. So I'm not saying that these are the only two. I'm just saying the most common in Nigeria: schooling, express entry. So at the point when I made up my mind to relocate was at that point where express entry was suspended. If you guys know about this Canada stuff, you know that there was a time where they were not holding any draws. Like, they suspended the whole express entry thing. They were doing only provincial nomination and targeted draws, all of that. So I was like, what do I do? Because honestly, schooling is not something that I want to do. Schooling was not an option that I would have loved to come through, that I would have loved to utilize. See, I am a very, very family-oriented person. Like, my whole life centers around my family. I remember when I was working at the bank back then, I was always the first person to leave the office. Bankers work late. Yes, I would stay, I'll finish my work. But you see that sitting down in the office till late at night? No. I was always that person, that staff that was always running out of the bank every day to go back to my husband and my children. Even during marketing, when we go for marketing calls and we're around my house, I would always drop home, kiss my children, touch them, and go back to work. While I was a banker for like the last 1 year of my banking career, I was doing school runs as a banker. So I would be at work. When it's time to pick my kids, I would go out, pick them, drop them at home, and go back to the office. Like, even you hardly see me in social functions without my children. I don't go out that much, come to think of it, but even if I go out like 10 times, 9 times is a family-based function with my children. So I'm so attached to my family, my husband and my children, that I was not so happy about a program that would distance me from them. I didn't know if I would be able to survive that. I didn't know whether I would even fall into depression, staying 6 months without seeing my husband and children. It was a tough call for me. And of course, I would have not been able to come with all the children and be schooling here. Who will look after them when I'm going to school? So the option was I would have left them in Nigeria and come to Canada to school, which was, oh my God, it wasn't something I wanted. But since we had decided to move, we got to school. I got somebody, a former colleague of mine at the bank that is in Canada. He does all this Canada worker. So I paid him some money to help me check for his school and do all the application process. I gave him, I think it was $100 or so for application fee, and I paid him also his remuneration to do the whole school worker for me, because I was working at the bank then. I didn't have time to do it. So we started the school process while also keeping our ears down for the express entry to reopen. We started the express entry process. Okay, we started from the scratch. My children didn't have international passports, so we had to start by getting them registered on NIN, National Identification Number. Okay, you cannot get an international passport in Nigeria now without first having your NIN, even if it's a newborn baby. Yeah, so we started with the NIN, then I processed their international passport. I paid for express. Within 3 days or 4 days, the passports were ready. Even the NIN, I paid for express. They even came to the house to capture them. I didn't have to go to the office to go and stand under the sun. So I paid for express. They came to the house, captured them. Within 1 week, their international passports were ready. Then it was just the 3 of them. I didn't have my baby girl at that time. So after having those documents ready, the next thing that we started doing was to evaluate our results. So before you travel to Canada through express entry, I don't know about other platforms, I'm talking about my own experience. So you need to have evaluated your results in Nigeria. There are these bodies that are responsible for doing that, and the whole essence is to make sure that the quality of degree or certificate that you have in Nigeria is equivalent to the standard in Canada. So we made the payment. You're going to pay your school to send the transcript to WES or ICAS or whichever one you use. So you're going to pay the school for the transcript, and you're also going to pay WES, these bodies, for the job of evaluating. So that's 2 payments there, right? So I went to a private university, so it was very easy. I just called our exams and records, did it online. Within 1 week, they had already mailed it to the organization that does the evaluation. Okay, pretty straightforward. But my husband went to a federal school. You guys know how they can be very lousy and slow there. You have to pay your way to do anything. So my husband's own had some delay. At the time, he was even considering going to the school because 1 month they still have not sent it. You know how this government stuff can be now, and it's not like an email thing. You have to print out the results and everything and dispatch it to Canada, like send it via post, not like email. So for them, they really delay. Many government schools really delay. Thankfully, my husband got someone that works in the exams and records department of his school and did it for him, so he didn't have to travel again. We're so happy, instead of risking his life and traveling that far. So after the evaluation was done, the evaluating body sent us our certificate of evaluation. It was successful. And in fact, while we're in the process of evaluating, we began reading for our IELTS or IELTS. So yes, before you relocate to Canada, you need to show that you're proficient in English. We are English speaking in Nigeria, but they don't rate us. They still don't rate us. So you have to go and write IELTS, and it's divided into 4 sections: the reading, the speaking, the listening, and the writing. Okay, it's quite a tricky test. It's not by how well you speak verbally. You might be a fluent English speaker, but that test might humble you. So I even had to take 2 weeks from the bank to study. I was working at the bank then, remember, and you guys know how the bank job was. So I had to take 2 weeks leave from work just to face IELTS and to study. I made use of materials on YouTube. I was taking the Cambridge tests on YouTube, and from your scores during your practice, you'll be able to have an idea of how your exam would be. So my scores were fine. When I started practicing, my scores were fine, and it kept on improving. And within 1 week, I was getting 39 over 40, sometimes 40 over 40, sometimes 38, 37. So that was a good band. But I just didn't rely on YouTube materials alone. I actually went for lectures. Like, I took lectures, and the reason why I took those lectures was primarily for the writing part. So listening, reading, speaking is pretty straightforward, but the writing, it has some kind of formula that if you do not know how to align the writing, the essay writing or the letter writing, it has to be structured in a certain way. So I had to take a class for about 2 weeks for this guy to brush me up on the writing part. So after that lectures, I went in for the test, and there are two bodies in Nigeria that organizes that IELTS, which is the British Council and MOD. So I used MOD. Yeah, what was the reason? This was someone that just told me that British Council, they are very strict, and I don't think it works, sure. I just used MOD. So on this particular day, I went to this school. My venue was a school in Stadium Road. God, it was an environmental sanitation day that morning. My husband had to wake up early and drove me there, because once it's 7 o'clock, you cannot move again until 10. And I think the exam was about 8 o'clock. So we had to be there before 7, before environmental sanitation starts. He drove me there early. He waited for me in the car, wished me luck, kissed me luck. He didn't write his own though. Let me report him. He told me that I should go and write first and let him see how my own is. Let me come and tell him how the exam is. Then he will not go and write his own. I said, oh, so I'm your scapegoat. I am your scapegoat. Okwaya, it's alright. Butcher me. So I remember that day I went for the test. So many people. So many people. See people, I'm like, Jesus, where you now, Jack Bago? Why are you running? Why are you running?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
There were so many people. If you see the hall, oh my God. So I sat down, wrote the test, did the listening. They gave us headsets for the listening. It was fine. Then after the listening, the writing and the reading is done in one day. Then the speaking, where you're going to meet a physical examiner that would, engage you in a conversation. That one is scheduled for another day. So I think my speaking was about 4 days thereabout after the main exam. So after 4 days, I went for the speaking. I was examined by a female. I was like, hey, women, women can be very strict. When I came in, I saw her. I wore my best smile. Hello, good afternoon, ma. I sat down. She engaged me. So, picture, you are in a house. Started speaking grammar. Oh, you beke. And I come from a boundary town called Mbano. And this. And the title, I was saying, describe this one, describe that one. I was describing. It gives me utmost satisfaction to experience that. I was talking. Duma was recording. He's like, oh. After that one, I said, all right, your test is over. You can go. I left. And then it was time for the big wait, because after the exam, you have to wait 2 weeks before your result comes out. So within those 2 weeks, I was like, Anyways, I was confident too, but exam. They don't do overconfidence for example. Exam will humble you. So one part of my mind was like, God, I beg you. The other part was like, no shaking. Nothing they happened. If you can pass law school, what is this one? Anyways, after 2 weeks, we went for my results and voila! I got a band 9. Like, I smashed everything in my first sitting. I got a band 9, which is like the highest band, the best results. So that was done. I was so happy that I didn't have to go and start writing, because some people have written that test 4 or 5 times. Oh, that's what is hooking them in Nigeria. So after I wrote mine, it's motivated my husband. He too wrote his, and he also smashed. So we had our international passports, we had our West evaluation, and we had our IELTS results. So we had all that we needed to get into the express entry pool. So on this fateful evening, my husband and I, we prayed. One thing we're doing is any step of the way, we'll come together, we'll pray together, we'll hold hands in covenant and pray together as man and wife. You know, when the spirit of a man and his wife are genuinely bounded together, even the devil is scared. Because the force God has charged, when God says 2 human beings will become one, he wasn't joking. No, that's serious power he has given. As in, that force is that's why it is not good for people to bring in third parties into that force through adultery. But let us not discuss about that, Sha. So that evening, we opened our laptop, we did everything ourselves. We didn't use the services of any agency. Those agents are very expensive. Now that Jackpot is going crazy in Nigeria, some agents are charging 2 million, 1.5 million. Like, you're going to be hearing exorbitant prices for something that you can do by yourself. We didn't go to any school to learn it. We did everything by ourselves. So if you want to use an agent, maybe because you are so busy, it's fine, but you can do it by yourself. The process is very all the information you need you can get, and you can do it by yourself. Okay, so we created our express entry profile. We selected a knock code. How do I explain it? It's like your profession, what's the details of your profession. Okay, so then I was a banker. I selected something under the retail banking analyst, kind of under retail banking specialist knock, something like that. So we created our profile and we jumped into the pool. So at this point we had some discrepancies, like my husband's results from his school, the date of birth that was stated for him on his result was different from his birth certificate and every other document. So we had to, these guys are very thorough, and they already have raised eyebrows when it comes to Nigerians, so you have to be very careful. One small thing now, they will mark you as fraudulent or inconsistent. So we had to support that with an affidavit. I think it's only an affidavit of a high court that they accept, not magistrate courts. I think so. We got an affidavit deposing to that discrepancy and stating his correct date of birth. We attached it when we're uploading all the documents during express entry profile creation, attached the whole IELTS, WES, every other thing, and we submitted, and we were officially in the pool. So just to add here, I was a primary applicant because of course I'm younger, and you know that this points-based selection, age plays a very big factor. So as soon as you get to 30, you start to lose 5 marks. So I was the younger person. Of course, as a lawyer, it counts as masters already, and I had work experience. I had worked more than 7 years at the bank then. So everything, it was better for me to be the primary applicant. That is why some commissioner of advisors, when they were saying, why didn't your husband come to Canada first and find a house instead of making you and the children to go through that kind of stress? I'm like, Jesus Christ, these advisors, you do not know people's peculiar situation before you start vexing for them in the comment section. You don't know their peculiar situation. Like, I was a primary applicant, so there was no way my husband would have been allowed into the country before me or without me. When you're the primary applicant, you have to land first. Okay, so that is just by the side. But some people, like the way they give advice, the very hostile way, as if no, you don't even know what is good for you yourself. Anyways, I was a primary applicant. We created a profile, and then we started waiting. So while waiting in the express entry pool, in as much as I would advise, just as I did, that you should try as much as possible to take your mind and your thoughts away from that. Because if you just let that to be the center of your concentration and you let yourself obsess over the process, you'll be so unhappy and so anxious, and your whole life, your whole thinking will be revolving around points, express entry, and relocation. So me, I removed my mind from it, continued with my work, even changed jobs, got pregnant, had a baby. I was just moving on with my life. I didn't let that relocation to envelope me or consume me or be the only thing that is in my head. If not, you'll just be, so restless and so filled with panic and anxiety. Please, that's a very important point though. So when we were in the pool, I just forgot about it and I was moving on with my life. But while in the pool, there's some things that you should note and you should begin to, take care of. So once you are called, you know that, okay, these things are handled. The first is your proof of funds. So I don't know if you know, but let me mention that before you come to Canada, before you immigrate to Canada, there is a certain amount of money that you are expected to immigrate with. Before I came here, I didn't understand the importance of making that a factor until I came. You will spend money. You will spend money. Those people would have said, have those amounts. They are not stupid though. They know that it takes a lot of money to settle in a new country. It takes a lot of money. And for us as a family of 6, I think we were required to come with about, was it $35,000? No, $33,000. I think $33,000 now is about 25 million. But I don't know whether it was up to 25 million as at then. As one person, there's an amount you should come with, and as the family grows, the money you're supposed to come with will also grow. So we coming as family of 6, we were expected to come with a huge chunk of money, and this proof of funds is expected to have been seated in your account for up to a minimum of 6 months before you are called. Okay, so it's not maybe when you are called to apply that you're not going to put money in your account and print out statements. No, they will know that it is lifted funds. So the only way to prove that those monies belong to you is when they have been in your account for at least 6 months. So it doesn't have to be a savings or current account, a treasury bill, fixed deposit, investment from maybe ARM investment or AXA Master investment, whatever organization, as long as it's in your name. It must be in your name. As long as it is in your name and it has been seated there for up to 6 months, it would pass. It would qualify as proof of funds. That is the point where some people now go and start looking for money. Some will go and borrow money, some will go and gather money. I don't know for them. I don't know. I'm just hearing it for the first time from my mouth. I don't know. So luckily I had funds already invested, so it wasn't a problem trying to gather funds. But this part is very challenging for a lot of people. This is the part that you have to start early if you don't have funds already. All right, so my funds were taken care of. Then another thing that you can do at this point is your reference letter. So if you are claiming that you have been employed, if you are claiming the points under employment that you have worked somewhere for 7-10 years, you will be required to get a reference letter from that organization. All right, so this is a point where you can also get the reference letter. It doesn't expire, so you might as well get it and keep, especially when you see that the scores are coming closer to your cutoff and you might be called at any time. You can even go and start getting your reference letter. So I wrote to the HR of the bank. By then I had left the bank. I was at my new place of work. I had to mail them and they sent me the reference letter. So the reference letter should have some compulsory information, of course, your name, your job specification, when you got employed and when you left, that's if you have left, your remuneration, how much you were earning. It should be on the company's letterheaded paper and of course signed by a designated person, either the HR or your direct supervisor. It must have these ingredients. If not, it's going to be rejected. So I told the HR and they gave me the reference letter. My husband also got his from his company. At this point, so if you have any way you can add points, like if you get a job offer, you get extra 200 points. If you do French, you get extra 50 points. If you get masters. So at this point, while you're in the pool, if you upgrade, you'll get something that can boost your points. You can still upgrade your profile in the pool. So at this point, some people still go and do some things to upgrade their profile and update it on the pool. It is at this point too in the pool that people pray and hope for provincial nomination. So you can just be in the pool seated and the province will pick your profile and say, oh, I want this person. Maybe they're looking for a particular profession or work experience that you have. They can nominate you from the pool, and once you get the provincial nomination, that is 600 points. Don't forget that the express entry is a point-based ranking system, okay? And there are several factors that gives you points: your age, work experience, language proficiency, sibling in Canada. There's several things that can give you points. So the more points you have, the higher your chances. So when they call the cutoff, you will be called. But the lower your points, the slimmer your chances. Maybe you have 300 points in the pool and today's cutoff is 500. Of course, you will not be called, you will not qualify. So that is how it works. So while we were waiting there, still communicating with the guy doing the school thing, but honestly, I was just doing that thing for doing sake. Deep down, I knew that there was no way I would have left my husband and children and come here to stay alone to school. I would have not been able to do it with 4 children. I can't leave the 4 children, really. I was just praying that this one works. And ta-da! It worked. It clicked. So they called off a cutoff and we were called. It hit our score. The cutoff mark for that week hit our score and we were sent an invitation to apply. It's called an ITA. All right. So when you are in this process of express entry stroke federal skilled workers, when you get your ITA, it's like, let me say 70% guaranteed, around that. I think it's like shit has gotten real. Like the possibility of you immigrating has just gone off the roof. Let me even call it maybe 80% possibility that you will travel. So when they send you this invitation to apply, you can either accept and apply or you can decline and not apply, but you have 60 days to give them a response with all supporting documents attached. Of course, why are we here? we are here to apply. We applied. So within those 60 days, the first thing you have to do, and the first thing that we did, was to get our police clearance. All right. So Canada is very strict on police clearance. They want to ensure that you're not bringing in a criminal or someone that has criminal records into their country. You will go to the police department, and they're going to take your fingerprints, they're going to take your biometrics, and they're going to scan it through their system. And if you have any criminal records, you've done time in Nigeria, you have been sentenced, gone to prison and all of that, had any problem with the law, it will show on the police clearance certificates. And do I need to tell you that is the end of your journey? Take a bow at this point. I even did mine at home. The police lady sent a staff to the house to do our capturing. See, guys, I will miss Nigeria. I will miss Nigeria. Nigeria. Once you have your money for hand, back for ground. Back for ground. Once you have your money, you are willing to pay. You will get unwarranted, unprecedented comforts. So we didn't go to the police station though. I made some calls. You know, when I worked at the bank, I got a lot of connections. So I made some calls, and they brought the machine to the house. All of us, we took our fingerprints, captured us. The results came out. Of course, we didn't have any problem with that. Then after police clearance, the next thing that has to be done is your medicals. Okay, so in as much as they don't want to import criminals into their country, or people that have served time, Canada is also very particular about bringing in people that would pose a very heavy medical liability on their system. Okay, they're not about bringing in someone that has cancer so they can now start paying for chemotherapy. They're also selfish. They need young, vibrant people. Canada has an aging population, and they need young, vibrant people that can come and work and boost their economy. That is the whole aim of this immigration thing they are doing. They're not doing it because they like to see your face. No, they need people that would come and boost their economy and work. So if you are sick, you can't work, you are a liability to them. They didn't specifically state the illnesses that would land you under this not eligible part, but I think it's easy to guess that of course cancer will be there. I don't know about HIV/AIDS, might be my guess, but any disease that is very expensive to handle and that is easily spread, like tuberculosis is also a challenge, they might decline. So my family and I, the whole family, I was pregnant for Chinayenwa then. We had to go to Lagos to do it because there are two centers that organize these medicals. First is IOM, and the second is Q Family Life, something like that. And they are only located in Lagos and Abuja. Can you imagine? A whole Port Harcourt. Pitakwa. Oh my God. They didn't give us any center in Port Harcourt. So myself, my husband, and our 3 children had to travel to Lagos to go get it done. And as fate would have it, that was the period where there was serious fuel scarcity, like plain fuel, A1 or whatever they call it. That's fuel. Jet 1. It was very scarce in Nigeria. So flights then was above 100 and something thousand. Yes. It was not a good time to travel, but we had to. So you can imagine family of 5. Traveling, tow alone was 500,000. Coming back was 500,000. Then the paying for the medicals itself, paying for the hotel that we stayed in, the food, the logistics, taxis, and all of that. Relocation is not cheap. Relocation is very, very expensive. Very expensive. Maybe in another video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step cost analysis of what we spent throughout the process. At least I'll give you an idea from beginning till the end, so you can have an idea of what it would cost you if you want to relocate. But that's going to be in another video. Okay, so it was so expensive, but we did it. They did x-ray. They will check you from head to toe. They will check you like animal. Oh, so they checked us, physical check, blood, weights, everything. We spent like 2 days or 3 in Lagos. Was it 2 days? Yes, we spent 2-3 days, and we came back to Port Harcourt. The medical results has a 12-month validity before it becomes inadmissible. So if you're about to get you can even do it beforehand. What did I even call it? Pre-medicals or something like that. So if they've not given you invitation to apply, but you are seeing that from the way the draws are going, you might be called soon, you can even go ahead and start doing your medicals. It's not compulsory that it must be done after ICA, but we did it after ICA. So when we had gotten all of that, police clearance, medicals, and every other thing, it was now time to attach all these documents and submit our profile and accept their offer. Okay, it costs, was it $550 per person to submit. Then there's another payment that you have to do. It's called the AIPP. But let me just leave all those costs for when I do that video for costs. So we just paid everything together for all 5 of us and we submitted. Yes, at this point, if there are any discrepancies or if there's anything you want to explain, maybe your statement of account, a huge chunk of money that looks suspicious just came into the account, you have to raise what they call a letter of explanation to tell them why this money just came in and why is your money and all of that. So did we use letter of explanation? I think we did, because my funds moved from a bank account to an investment account, so I had to explain the movement and all of that. Very important. And when you explain it, you have to be pounding like, hey, because any small thing they can just cancel you and ban you and say you're trying to be fraudulent, and they can just hit you a 5-year ban. You won't be able to apply. Just imagine adding 5 years to your age. When you come back, you'll be on 100 points inside the pool. So anything to avoid that irregularities or suspicion, please just avoid it the first time. So we submitted the stuff, and when you submit, you can always go to your express entry profile to check as it's moving, to check the progression. So you'll be seeing it, medicals passed, this passed. Once in a while, just log in and check. Don't obsess with it. Don't be going to check every day. Hey, has the other step come? Oh, what have they done? Oh, you will drive yourself crazy. Do your part and leave it. They'll work on it. It's not your job. You've done your own part. Leave them to do theirs. Okay, so that was what I did. I stayed very positive and cool. That's why it's also good to have a job while you're waiting, because if you don't have something much you are doing, that will just be where all your focus will be, and it might just start affecting your mental health. So after a short while, we got our PPR, which is like passport request, a request for us to submit our passport for them to stamp with Canada visa and say, oh yeah, you guys can come. Sure, you want to come? Oh yeah, come and work. Come and help us develop this country. We need your strength. So we got passport request, and we had to go to a studio to take passport photographs that we attach on the passport, the international passport, and mail to them. So I used Studio 24, which is like one of the best, but somehow the pictures were not accepted. When we came to Canada, we had to go to another studio to retake the pictures. They sent us a mail that the pictures were not, it didn't scale through. It didn't meet the dimension or whatever. So we had to retake. So yes, when you get your passport request, you attach your passport photograph and send to them. But for us, it was at that point that I gave birth to Chinenyewa. So we had to start adding her on our profile. First and foremost, I had to travel to Lagos to go and do her medicals, because everybody must do medicals. Even if you are 1 day old, as long as your profile is in that pool, you must do medicals. So I traveled just like 2 weeks after I gave birth, like post-ops. I was weak, I was bleeding, I was, black, like one of the people that stayed inside a fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, looking like burnt sacrifice. Hey! And God was so good to me, because when I tried to book the appointment, it wasn't completed. I got an error message, but I just printed it out like that and traveled. And they worked strictly on appointments. They wanted to turn me down. But because of the newborn baby I was carrying, and they just let me in, gave me VIP treatment. Less than it was very short. They were done with me. I didn't even have to start going from one desk to another as they usually do. I just sat down in one lady's office. Oh, God bless that lady. She was so good to me. And she did everything for me. Say, oh my God, your baby is so cute. She's so small. How old is she? I said, 12 days. Oh my God, only me. I traveled alone to Lagos, got it done, and flew back to Port Harcourt. Was it the next day? The next day. So in addition to that, I still flew to Lagos for biometrics. Hey God, it is not an easy something, no. The process is processing. Oh my God, the process is much. So They will still have to capture your fingerprints, scan you, and take your biometrics, but that one is for adults alone. So it was just my husband and I that went for that one. So we did our biometrics. Unfortunately, also there are no biometric centers in River State or Port Harcourt, so we still had to fly again to Lagos to get the whole capturing done. Then my husband was working in another country. They posted him for a project in another country, and that country had a visa office. Nigeria, a whole giant of Africa, does not have a Canada visa office. Ghana has, Senegal has, Kenya has, like almost many African countries. But Nigeria, a whole giant, we do not have. So my husband had to take the passports with him and traveled there and submitted it there. And we started waiting for them to stamp it and return to him. Oh, I can't forget that wait. In fact, at a time, he was done with his work there, but they hadn't returned his passports. Relocation, you will go through different things. He was stuck in that country. He had to go and speak to his boss, the Oibo man there, like, Uncle, I am stuck officially. My passport has been submitted and they have not stamped it. He couldn't fly back home. We started praying, God, release this passport, let this man come back home. Oh. Hey. So finally, they released the passports to him, and we got the visa stamp, and he traveled back to Nigeria with everybody's passports. And when he came back, oh my God, this journey of many years has finally come to an end. Jeez. Oh my God. It was such a journey. And next we had to start booking our flights and searching for Airbnb, and it became real. It now dawned on us that we are leaving Nigeria for good. Then we started shopping and getting ready, and that's that. Yes, we immigrated as federal skilled workers under the Express Entry platform, and we are permanent residents of Canada. We didn't come via schooling or work or this or that. No. We are PRs, yes. And yeah, thank God for everything. It was quite a journey. It was quite a process. And I thank God that everything went well. So for those people that will come to the comment section, there are some people, they know themselves. Some of them are looking at me as I talk. They will come to the comment section and say, why would you leave the country? Stay back and build your country. And most times when I'm telling you this thing, they're not even in Nigeria. They always give this advice from far. So why did you sell your things and move? Don't you know it is cold here? You suffer here. You work here. You do this. Uncle, nobody wakes up one morning and relocates. Not even 1 month and relocates. Sometimes it takes years. It takes years for this thing. So if somebody has spent years understanding and researching and reading and deciding that this is what they want, they understand the pros and cons and they have decided to go that route. So the best you can do, if you don't have anything nice to say, just ferme la bouche. Just ferme la bouche. If you have any advices like, oh, the weather, there's a way you give the advice without, sounding negative or trying to make the person feel like they made a mistake. They just made the mistakes of their lives. They spent years evaluating that situation and they decided to do it. Okay, so that is that. This video is quite a long video, but every part of it was worth it. I hope you learned something. I hope you gained something. If you have any persons looking forward to relocating, you can send it to them. You can share it to them, and it's going to go a long way in helping them. So guys, this video has finally come to an end. You now know how we migrated. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Drop all your comments down in the comment section. Ask your questions for our Q&A, and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. Okay, it's me, your girl barista Neze Peperempe, and this is Neze Peperempe. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.